Beetlejuice is a 1988 American fantasy comedy film directed by Tim Burton. It is quintessential, I know it's 88, but like 90s Tim Burton. Basically, it revolves around this deceased couple played by Alec Balwin and Geena Davis, who become ghosts who are haunting their former house when a new family moves in and they want to get them out. And the new family, by the way, is Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Jones, and Winona Ryder. And Beetlejuice, of course, is the iconic Michael Keaton.
It's showtime.
It took me until last year when someone was like, you know that's Michael Keaton, right? That's Batman. I was like, what?
No, it doesn't register at all because his makeup was so good. And actually, it won an Oscar for the makeup.
God, that's it!
I feel like all of Tim Burton's kind of special effects, since they're a bit of that, like, claymation vibe.
Like, it's so fun. Like, the musical numbers, like the number where they're, like, making everybody around the dinner table dance, and Catherine O'Hara just executes that like the queen she is.
Also, Ash, E.T. was on set when they filmed that iconic scene.
Of course we were.
Tim Burton reportedly wanted Rat Pack member Sammy Davis Jr., who was 63 years old at the time, to play the role of Beetlejuice, which is absolutely crazy. But then the producer, David Geffen, suggested that Michael Keaton would play the role, and ultimately he went on to star in 2 other Tim Burton movies, Batman and Batman Returns.
You think I'm qualified?
So the role of Barbara that went to Geena Davis, Burton's original pick was Cheers star Kirstie Alley.
So random. But for Delia Dietz, which Catherine O'Hara iconically plays, get ready, because it was originally going to be Angelica Houston.
We talked about last week.
Who we talked about last week. I love when we have all these spooky full circle moments, but she had to bow out due to an illness. So of course the one and only Catherine O'Hara signed on, and she was so perfect. She plays such a wicked, evil stepmom so perfectly. So I'm so glad that
funny,
she's
like
in it.
Even like the hair and the outfits are kind of like Moira would approve, I think.
Yes! I know!
For Lydia, Lori Loughlin, Diane Lane, Sarah Jessica Parker, Brooke Shields, Justine Bateman, Molly Ringwald, and Jennifer Connelly were among the young actors who allegedly turned down the role of Lydia. And then Juliette Lewis auditioned, but Winona Ryder won the part. Those are a lot of very, very different people. That's so interesting to me.
Very different people, but I'm so glad that it did go to Winona Ryder, because when E.T. caught up with her in her full Lydia glam, she was already so excited about this movie, and they hadn't even finished it.
I've learned a lot about special effects in directing from the director Tim Burton, who's great. It's going to go down in my memory as one of the great movies that I'll ever work on, I think.
Beetlejuice was nearly called Scared Sheetless, and this was because Warner Brothers executives didn't like the name Beetlejuice and pushed to have it changed to House Ghosts. But then Tim Burton made a joke and was like, why don't we call it Scared Sheetless? And it's one of those things where, like, be careful what you joke about, because the executives were like, oh no, we actually like that. And he was like, no, I was kidding.
We've talked about the fact that this movie perfectly blends like spooky vibes with a lot of comedy, but Beetlejuice himself was originally supposed to be a winged demon whose human form was a small Middle Eastern man.
So Beetlejuice, screen time-wise, is barely in his own movies, the titular role, and he only appears for 17 and a half minutes of the 92-minute film. So despite Michael Keaton getting top billing, he was actually only on set for 2 weeks.
Beetlejuice kind of ends up on like a bit of a happy ending for everyone. That was not supposed to be the case. And it was actually the test audiences who watched the first draft of Beetlejuice that were upset that Beetlejuice did not get a happy ending. And that's how charming Michael Keaton was in the role. They wanted him to have a more upbeat ending, so they had to go back to the drawing board and come up with that epic epilogue where he's sitting in the waiting room and he's like, the witch doctor shrinks his head, and it's kind of like funny. An earlier draft had him stuck inside of the mini model town and being plagued by sandworms the entire time.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I think this movie also plays like, do you root for him or not? And for me, I always did, and it took rewatching it to be like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be like really against this guy, but just want the best for him.
And you just want the best for Lydia too, and that's why when she got to end it, when she got that good grade on her test, and she's like dancing along. You're like, yeah.
Shake, shake, Sinora, shake your body liner.
Well, speaking of not really knowing whether or not you're supposed to root for Beetlejuice or not, we talked to the cast about kind of how they interpreted this character, and they gave some interesting answers. Take a look.
Guy who's been dead for 300 years, and he scares the living out of us.
Beetlejuice is a guy. He's kind of a malevolent devil kind of guy.
Who's Beetlejuice? He's like a kind of little devil guy. He's kind of like a little illegal devil who has to get married in order to come out.
Well, that does it for this week's episode of Stream Queens, but Ash and I are dying to know, what did you think about Beetlejuice when you rewatched it? Friend or foe?
Yeah, and let us know how you feel about that binge it in one weekend or spread it out conversation. Which one do you prefer? Use that hashtag Stream Queens, and we'll see you guys next time.